I guess now while we're talking about Aunt Georgia, we ought to mention we've already talked about Nick being born in 1936. It was really Aunt Georgia that really brought him up.
Yes.
So that she was more or less continuously involved in his upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know a mother other than her.
When he was little, beginning to talk, and Aunt Mary would come to visit in Athens with the two boys, with Chris and Nick, he would hear them calling her Mama. And of course, because Aunt Georgia was raising him and she was constantly with him, he turned around one day and he called her Mama. And so grandmother thought that it wasn't proper. Of course, it was proper because she was raising him, but he wasn't her child, and she was just a young girl herself. So they taught him to call her Thea, because she was actually an aunt and not his mother. But he really knew her as a mother because she did the things for him that Aunt Mary did for Chris and Nick.
I remember earlier that when he was a baby, and of course they didn't prepare bottles and things like that in those days there.
Mm-hmm.
So
But she did prepare his bottles at night because they had a wet nurse come.
Right, that's
3 times a day. Yes, she came 3 times a day and she nursed Nick. But at night, when he woke up and he was hungry, Aunt Georgia used to get up and prepare a formula that was called Nutritia. And she used to,
I didn't know about that.
She used to prepare the bottle for him, and they would give him that bottle, and he ate, and he went back to sleep. Then they wanted, when he was about a year and a half, and we were back in Athens by then, he still wanted to have the night bottle. Mm-hmm. Even though he was drinking milk, he didn't like milk, just like all of us didn't. And grandmother used to mix his milk with coffee, and he used to drink milk that way. At night, he still wanted the bottle of Nutritia, but he was too old to be waking up at night to drink Nutritia. So the maid that grandmother had at that time, Vasiliki, used to put him in the stroller when he'd wake up about 2 o'clock in the morning. She would put him in the stroller and walk him around the neighborhood, at first screaming, and then he would be quiet and fall asleep, and she would bring him back and put him in his bed. And this is how they got him to stop. Yeah, this is how they weaned him, that's right. Then, of course, she got used to the pacifier, because they used to stick the pacifier in his mouth. And I think he was about 3 years old when they finally weaned him from the pacifier. That was another walking deal that Vasiliki had to get him away from the pacifier. So they walked the streets at night until he'd fall asleep, and she'd bring him back and put him in his bed.
That poor girl was, at one time or another, had gotten contact with someone who had tuberculosis. Didn't she die of tuberculosis?
Yes, she did, but no, she had very bad bronchitis when she was a baby. When it was a case just like Nick's, her mother died of childbirth too, and they were just giving the baby. The doctors said that the baby wasn't going to live, and they kept giving her water instead of feeding her milk and stuff. thinking that she was going to die, but she lived. And the doctors at the time said that she had bad bronchitis and pneumonia and stuff, but she lived through it. But this left her lungs weak. And so when she went to work, her grandmother, and she had this hacking cough all the time when she was little, and they took her to the doctor, and the doctor said that she would be all right with good food and fresh air and stuff, and she would grow out of it. But that she had, you know how babies get the croup and stuff. Yeah, this is what she had. Well, she seemed to have grown out of it, but then during that, she got a very bad cold, and it turned to pneumonia, and she got the TB.
Was that after she had left grandmother's? Or?
She didn't leave. She had to. We had to send her away to the tuberculosis hospital. She didn't leave. Yeah. The doctor said that she had to go because it developed in TB afterwards. So she had to go. She lived about a year and a half in the sanitarium, and then she died. And of course, that was another reason why Aunt Georgia was so scared at the time when Nick had to have an X-ray when he was first starting to go to school in Athens now, in the private school.
Did he go to Juris too?
Yes, he went to Juris, and then he went to Athanasios and Kanelopoulos. Yeah. But he had to have, all children had to have X-rays at the time. So he had an X-ray, and it came out that they found a shadow. Yes. And this was another reason why she was so afraid that he might have TB, because Vasiliki and he practically lived together. Yeah. She was like his nanny. And then with the thing with Uncle Bill coming and spitting blood, she thought, well, the kid got the tuberculosis. Yes, yeah, those things come back to your mind. I had forgotten completely about Vasiliki's. She was about 19 years old when it happened, 19 or 20, and she lived. And Georgia went and visited her a couple of times at the sanitarium, and then when she went for the third time, they told her that she had passed away. Poor thing.
Well, anyway, let's see, when we went to La Mia, which was in 1940.
Right after the war broke out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nick was...
he was 4
years old, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. So he didn't start school right away, but...
Before the war was started, he had started going to preschool. When he went to Juris, he went when he was not even 4 yet, because he was born the end of 1940.
Right.
This was in September when we started school. He started going to what they call preschool. Here they call it kindergarten, and it'd be every year.
Yeah.
And he went.
I wasn't aware of the fact that they had things like that there then.
Oh yes, they did. And he went there. Sure, he carried his little bag, and he had a little provica that Aunt Georgia had made for him with embroidered clowns and horses on it. And his long hair, and he looked like a little girl.
His name, Baby, said kind of stack.
Yes. That happened because Cousin Nick resented the fact there was another Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And the day that Uncle Mike, who was our Nick's and Nick's Deliverer's godfather,
mm-hmm.
when he heard him say that the name was Nicholas, he slammed down his candle who was out of the church. He wasn't much. He was 2 years older, but he didn't want anybody else to be Nikaki. So then we found this one baby. And now the kids in Greece call him Theo's babies. I don't know him as nothing wrong. Yes, that's what she called him, baby.
I remember Nick, when he'd be going to school or, in the direction up into town in Lamia, if any of the friends was around, and my friends was around, and they were going in that direction, he'd walk along with me, whether I was there or not.
Yes.
And we used to whistle, all our friends used to whistle to each other, when they, can't remember now what it was, but when we'd be some distance from each other, we'd whistle to get the other's attention.
Yes.
Yeah. Or when they were coming by to pick me up, they'd whistle outside.
Yeah, and you weren't there, and I'd whistle back, and they'd stand there and wait for you to come out.
Or Nick would come out and go with them. But he used to follow along when we'd be going someplace where he wasn't bothering us.
Yeah, he was a nice little kid. He just wanted to come along. I guess he wanted to have somebody to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah. He went along everywhere. And then, of course, we had Effie who had to go along with everybody. Wherever I went, I had to have Effie with me. If my girlfriends would come and call on me, of course, when Effie was in Athens, I would get stuck with Effie, and I couldn't go out if I didn't take Effie with me. And then some of my girlfriends stopped calling for me because they didn't want Effie with us.
Did they come and stay in Athens too?
Well, in the summertime.
Yeah, when they would visit.
Yes, and they would visit. Effie had to be my constant companion. And of course, my girlfriends didn't want. Once or twice it was okay, but then it was a constant thing, and they didn't want Effie with us. So I wasn't allowed to go out if I didn't take Effie with me.
Well, down in your neighborhood, I can't remember, but there weren't. I don't remember any kids that were Nick's age.
The only one that was Nick's age was George Andachopoulos, the youngest one, who became a doctor. They were the same age. But they just didn't bother with each other. Nick had a friend, the brother of Dino, who lived across the street.
Oh, yeah.
The younger brother who was, he must have been about 3 or 4, even more years older than Nick. But he used to play with Nick in their gardens. He liked Nick, and the mother used to like Nick to go over, and he went with him. That was a sad thing when he died, that Nick couldn't understand why he couldn't go and play with him. I don't remember the little boy's name. But he died. It was a sudden thing. I don't remember what it was, meningitis or something. He was a little blonde boy. I remember that. But I can't remember his name. And
I remember Dinos. He didn't really play with us or
but he
call around, but
he'd come and walk with you. Yes, and he liked you guys. He was kind of introverted little boy too. But he was the Mr. Bliss age. But he was shorter than all of you guys, and he looked really like he was younger. I can't remember their last name. But their mother was never the same after she lost the little boy.
I was trying to think of what were the guys that had the garage?
Sumaris.
Yeah, all those boys were older than me.
Oh,
even the youngest one.
Oh, yes. The youngest one was Chris's age, cousin Chris. Yeah. That George. His name was George too. Wait a minute. No, his name wasn't George. His name was. There was Thanasis, the oldest. George was the
next one.
The next one. Thenius.
Right, the big fat kid.
Yeah. And then the third, what was his name? The one that had
injured his eye.
Had injured his eye when he was a little boy from the doorknob. Yes, don't remember his name. He was the best looking one too. George wasn't bad looking, but Thanasis and Thenius looked just like their father, and George and the younger one looked like the mother, Maria. She was still alive in 1984. Maria. She was a beautiful woman.
We stopped and I went and I talked to Thanas.
Did he remember you?
Yeah, he remembered, but he was kind of reticent. He didn't.
Maybe he didn't remember you.
Right, I'm sure he did. But I don't know, maybe a lot of people expected that I would keep up communications with everybody. Probably should have, but I sure didn't.
But you can't, really.
Yeah.
Keep up communications with all those people.
Yeah.
Really.
It was hard.
It is hard. I didn't see them when I went, but I saw the girls next door.
Yeah.
Sia and, what were their names? There were three girls and a boy they had. I remember him, his name was Costas. And then there was Athanasia, and they called her Sia. And Antonia was one. I can't remember the other one's name. Well, the youngest one, who was Sia, married somebody out in California with the supermarkets. But she didn't like it here in America. And Eleni was telling me she had a couple of nervous breakdowns. And he would bring her back to Greece, and then they would come back. I don't know whatever happened.
Well, I don't remember them at all. Of girls, I remember the one that lived across the way above Demos.
Yes.
Can't remember their name. I used to call her Hanumsa.
Hanumsa, yes. She was a beautiful girl. What was her name? She had a name like a Hanumisa too, but they used to call her Nitsa. They didn't use her whole name. Yeah. Her mother was an older lady, and she had married this young man who had been a helper in her father's something. He was working.
Auto mechanic or something?
Yes. But her father was the one who had the business, and he had him in there. And he married her, and he became rich with her because she had a big dowry. Yeah. Remember the girls that lived downstairs in their house? The three girls and their mother? Lika, yes. The youngest one married a British soldier, and she went to England.
But didn't she die young? Where did I hear that?
Gee, I don't know. Maybe they told you. Maybe when... Did you talk to the boys about them?
No, I didn't.
No.
But they were something else. The other two girls were older, and they used to have parties, and they had a certain reputation.
Yes, they did. All of them had a reputation, but really, I don't think they were as bad as people were saying they were. The older one was going out with some, I can't remember the name, but with some rich guy in Lamia. But he was just using her, and they were saying she was going to marry him and stuff. I don't know if he ever did. And then, of course, the girls on the other side, the Curtis girls, had bad reputations.
Yeah, because
none deserved, yes. They did. But they married well. Mary was the oldest. She became a lawyer. Yeah, I remember this. Christos was their brother.
Did they get their educations through their dad? I mean, did he help? No.
Not at all. On their own. Not at all. They were just smart and they went to school on their own. And Mary, the lawyer, had married a pharmacist. And the other one, what was her name? Can't remember. Their mother's name was Helen. Can't remember her name. She married a pharmacotrifti. He wasn't a pharmacist, but he worked for his brother who was a pharmacist. You remember Papa Georgiou Pharmacy?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, well, she married the younger brother who was
that was in Platia
Low. And Mary, the lawyer, married the other the pharmacist who was in Platia Eleftherias. Remember that old pharmacy there?
Platia Eleftherias. That was up there where the cathedral is?
Yes.
And it was on the corner of the steep
exactly.
Right down to the other Platia.
Yes, she married that pharmacist. Yeah. But she was a lawyer.
Platia Low was the lower Platia. No, that was over
on the other side. Yes, Staropazaro was Platia Low. Yeah. This one down there was, what did they call that little Platia? That came from Yaya's Street, came down to that one. I can't remember the name of that one. Maybe that was Platia Low and the other was Staropazaro, like you said. I don't know. Anyway.
That doesn't matter. When we were sitting under in the basement of Grandma's old house, and we could hear the bombs dropping up there.
Yes.
Whatever it was. Mm-hmm. Was Nick with us?
Yes, he was.
But
he used to shake when he would hear the airplanes. His whole little body used to shake. He was so scared.
Well, it's a scary thing, all the rumbling.
Yes. And the fact that everybody would say, they're coming, the Germans. And it was scary for a little kid. Yeah, he was with us. And the people downstairs, remember the people who rented Yaya's downstairs house? You became friends with their son. And I was friends with the older daughter. They had 2 daughters and the son, and you were friends. Kyria Katina used to send you and him to buy her food from the restaurant, and the 2 of you used to begrudge it, but you used to go get her. She never wanted to cook. Remember the lady that lived in the 4 rooms of the upstairs house?
I remember that house.
Kyria Katina Metibula. She had a little girl. And her husband was a Stathmarchis. But he wasn't in Lamia. He was a Stathmarchis not in Athens. Strogonopotam was Stathmarchis. And he would come once a week on the weekends, stay. And she lived there, and she was scared to death of the bombs too. And she used to say, Coco, Americane, di na pas ng pantiro pa eh.
No, I remember the Coco and stuff like that, but I don't remember her.
I think the boy's name was Andrew. I can't remember. I think he was Andrew, and you were friends. And you used to go out together, and you'd talk about it. You didn't want to go buy her the food. So she would send both of you to buy her food for lunch and for dinner.
I don't remember that. I just can't place them at all.
The little girl was a couple of years old, Bula. I don't know what her name was, but they called her Bula. But her name was Katina, Catherine.
I was just wondering how they felt about it.
He was talking. He was broken. He never spoke clear till he was about 7 years old. Yeah. But he had his own.
That's kind of Vontsolos truth.
The spirit?
Yeah.
But anyway, he was. When once he started talking, his Aunt Georgia said there was no stop.
But I remember that time we were in that basement. And I was, my knees were knocking together, but I was telling everybody not to be scared.
Yes. That's where they had all the barrels of wine. That was really a wine cellar. And then Yaya had us put all the nice things that you had down there to keep them. Uh-huh. And there was the porcelain of the china was melted on the walls. Right. Then.
I remember I could just almost see it. There was an I-beam in that new part of the house that they built.
Yeah.
They supported it with an I-beam, which is unusual because the rest of the house was old. Uh-huh. But that I-beam, it twisted up in a coil after we went down. It was down.
To see.
Because they had used an incendiary bomb.
Uh-huh. They're burning ones.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh. Well, there was just not one bomb there. They put a few there, and they wrecked everything.
They didn't kill very many Englishmen.
No. Well, thank God they didn't, but that ruined Yes, property and everything, and they never gave her anything. The government never compensated her. No.
They received money, of course.
They did receive money, but they said that she wasn't poor enough to give her money to rebuild. Where was she? Where did she get the riches? From the land? But they did give help to the people in the front where their house, it wasn't that bad. A bomb fell there, but it wasn't one of the kind that burns. What was their name? Androne. Remember the Adronos family, the ones that were right next there, next to the...
I don't remember.
Well, yeah. They lived there for 1,000,000 years. Well, they compensated them to rebuild, and they rebuilt it. But after the war, when Uncle Bill had the contract for that forest up in Macedonia, he had made quite a bit of money, and he gave her money, and she rebuilt the little house. Remember the little house in the yard?
Yeah.
Well, that was rebuilt.
And she was taking it down when they put
of course they did. They took that down. But she was renting that after it was rebuilt, and she was getting the rents from that. But then the whole thing, the one who bought the property wanted the whole thing, so that was taken in too. Yeah.
But Nick probably didn't remember very much of
that house.
Of Lamia at all, did he?
No, I don't
Except for people, because of contact.
Yes, except for some of the people and then we used to go for Easter to Lamia, and sometimes we would go for Christmas, and he would meet these people again that he knew. But no, I don't think he does remember very much. Of the years, of the war years, I don't think he remembers.
Now, when he, before he came here, did he continually go to he went to FMSU?
No, he went to the public school.
Really?
He went to when he finished grammar school, he went to the public high school. Yes, he didn't go to a private school when he started high school. After 6th grade, he went to the public high school.
can't even remember where that was in Palio. Or was it over in Moscato?
It was in Moscato, but he didn't go to Moscato. He went to a school in Piraeus. That was mostly, it was all for boys.
How did he get there?
He used to walk or take the tram, I guess. He would know more about that. He used to go because they had more math in that school. So he went to that. No, he didn't go to Moscato. I went to Moscato. And that was a mixed school. That was mixed. Boys and girls went to that.
I must have gone there too, because I remember that. The first, let's see, 1940, I would have been.
We were still in Judas, weren't we?
I don't think so. I must have gone there at least a year. Or maybe I had started that year.
You went to the one that was on the, by the shore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you went. Yes.
But it was on the other side of the river.
Yes, it was on the other side of the river, and you had to walk to that. Yes. That's where you went.
1940, I was 14 years old. So,
you started and you went there, right. I was still in Judas. That's right.
And then when we came to Lamia, I started going to that school.
Gimnasio Areno, you went.
And that was on the road that went up to
Villadulla. Yes.
Must have been not very far from the church.
Not very far to Metropolis. Yes, it wasn't. It was up the street, one of the streets there.
I remember and it had a high wall.
Yes.
And
you had to climb up the hill.
Right. And when we gather in the Avli, you could look down at the road.
Yes.
And when the Germans were coming in, we happened to be in school.
Yes.
And then we booed. We booed them when they came in.
Lucky they didn't shoot.
Well, they were too proud. They hadn't met their maker yet.
Remember the times when they would bring, at first they were bringing, before the Germans declared war on Greece, when Italy had declared war, where they were bringing in the captured
Italian prisoners
of war, and they were bringing them in those big army trucks, and some of them had the feathers on their hats, and we called them Ikokorosteri, and all of them, they were bringing them in. They were sad cases. Remember, we used to go down to the other side of the street, in the back, in Gaga's backyard, and that's where they would be parking the trucks as they were coming in and feeding them. Remember next door there was the Tiramidas candy store? Remember that?
We used to go in there to buy Coke. Do you remember the Coke?
Yes.
This was before the war, I guess.
No, it wasn't before the war. It was before the Germans came in.
Yeah.
Then they still had food, and money was still good and everything. Yeah.
We'd go in there and I would buy Coke, and then, can you remember that other kid's name? His name was Vagues. They lived beyond the, what was their name? They lived across the street. There was one boy and several girls in the family. They were good friends of Aunt George's.
Pezza.
Pezza, yeah.
His name wasn't Vagues, it was Nikos.
His was Nikos, but beyond them, there was another.
Vagues,
Vagues, yeah.
Vagues, what was his name? He became, first he was an apprentice merchant, and then he opened his own place, like Bobby's father had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was a Vagues, and he had an older brother whose name was John. The mother was a widow. She was raising these two boys, and she used to sew the tops of shoes, the leather part of the shoes.
Well, I think that was Caprice's mother.
You're not talking about...
It wasn't Bagay.
He was Bagay, and his father and his brother was Ganes. And then there was another one, Western, wait a minute, I know which one you mean. You mean the one that's all the mother had. Just Uvarnitsas. Uvarnitsas. Yeah, she was a widow too. I don't know what she used to do, some kind of piecework too.
I don't know what she did.
Yeah. And
I remember him. He was up on our wall.
He was a nasty little kid. But then you became friends later. Before that, he used to throw rocks at us.
But anyway, he fell off the wall and landed on his head and just got up and walked away. It was a high wall.
Yes. He used to climb up on Yaya's walls and steal the fruit. He used to steal the oranges.
But anyway, he used to come along to that pastry shop. And I'd buy a pastry and draw the attention of, what was their name? Busius.
Oh no, Busius was Ikubari. They had theirs, the Hurublastillo, within the little steno there where Athanasius Diakos' grave was.
Oh, okay.
That was Busius. They were Akubari. Yeah. You went to the ones who
right next door to our gate there.
Yeah, I just said the name before and now I forgot it.
So I'd draw the attention of the people.
And he was still... Yeah, because they didn't have the money. I didn't think they had the money to go. Yeah. I wonder whatever happened to him.
I don't know.
I guess maybe they gave their property later too and maybe had an apartment house built there and they had. Sure. I wonder what the pets are still if they gave theirs in too.
I don't know. We walked up there. I just didn't think that. Well, we didn't stop to see if they were around or not.
Old man Francis died. He lived a long time, and she did too. And I remember when Vula came here because they had her son, Vula's son, was here in Charlotte going to the University of North Carolina to become a dentist. And she came to visit him. And she called me up. I don't know where she got the telephone, and she called me up. And I talked to the relatives, and they wanted, if it was possible for me to go to the airport to meet her there to take her from the one airline to the other because she didn't speak any English. And I went with Anna, and I met her, and we took her to the right airline where she was going to leave, and we talked for a while, and she had cancer. But at the time, it was, they thought that it was, you don't get over cancer, but it was, what's the word?
Dormant?
Yes, that it was not dormant, it's another word. That you've gotten over it, that it wouldn't be.
In remission.
In remission, right. But it really wasn't. Poor thing, she said. And she was telling me about that her mother was still alive then, and that her father lived till he was 98 or something. And she was saying to me, she says, well, I love both my parents, but see how life is. It doesn't seem just that I now, in my early 50s, should be dying. And my mother is still alive, and my father lived till he was 98, not to see my children finish school and stuff. And the one was becoming a dentist, and then she had a pair of twins. And one became an engineer, and the other became a lawyer. But they did that after she died. And they didn't know that the husband was also sick, and he died within a year from her. from her, but he died. He also had cancer, but he had never told her that he had cancer. He was a dentist who had studied here in the United States, and he came back and he opened his offices in Lamia. Vontsolos was his name. And they have a lot of relatives in Charlotte, North Carolina. And when I went in 1976, when I went with the boys, after Nick took them to Iran with him, I went and visited her. And I met her older sister. You don't remember their names. She had, the older sister was Sina, Efrosina, they called her Sina, and she had a little girl just before the war. And I remembered this little girl, baby. And here she was, a woman, gosh, almost in her 40s, I guess, when I met her. Almost. And we talked, stayed there for a while, and then after I came back, Sigurd told me that Lola had died. She was very sick.
She was Aunt George's friend.
No, she was the youngest. She was my friend.
Yeah.
She must have been about 3 or 4 years older than I was. Nikos, the youngest of the boys, was about a year older than you.
There was another boy?
Yeah, Vagelis, he was a lawyer. You never knew him because he was the oldest of them all. They were all. And he was away. He did his, he was an attorney in Athens. He wasn't in Lamia.
Who were Nick's friends in Lamia? Did he have any left in Lamia? Close friends?
Well, he had one of them, one of his closest friends, was killed right after the Germans left. Remember, these kids used to go down to where the Germans had all their ammunition and it was all blown up. Well, not everything was blown up, and they used to go there and sneak down there and get. Nick still has the marks on his thumb where he was burned. He almost got killed. But the little boy, Christakis, was killed right there. One of these plastic things blew up, and he was killed right there. And he was friends with the brother that was a little bit older, too. I think they still kept in touch whenever he went to Lamia. I don't remember their names, really. But he didn't have that many friends. He had those little friends that he had made during the war and during that era. But he didn't have that many friends. He had friends in Athens. A couple of his friends have already died from one thing or another. Those are really the friends that he remembered, the ones that he met in Fabula. And he kept in touch with, and then he saw them now when he was there all those years.